Hey Peyton, nice to see you again on this beautiful day. And this time with a quote by Rabindranath Tagore, where he says, "I have become my own version of an optimist. If I can't make it through one door, I'll go through another door. Or I'll make a door. Something terrific will come, no matter how dark the present." What comes to mind when you hear this, Peyton?
Good to be back, my friend. I would say I like this view of optimism because optimism is not denying reality as it is. He doesn't say that I'm a version of an optimist and every door opens easily and the present is always bright and cheery and sunny. He says, sometimes the present is dark and I believe that the future will be fine. Sometimes I don't get what I want through this door and I believe the future will be fine. Sometimes I stub my toe here, or I experience this pain, or something doesn't go well, or I get the opposite of what I want and I believe that the future will be fine. And this, I think, is the integrated view of optimism that we can have because the world is messy and sometimes we won't get what we want. Sometimes we'll experience pain. Sometimes we'll experience fear. Sometimes we'll find ourselves in a present that is very dark and we don't know what's going to happen. We experience despair or fear or whatever. And the optimism that serves us in those times is not gaslighting ourselves and trying to put over this fragile delusion over our eyes that everything is already rosy and that we're already getting everything to go our way, because sometimes we don't. But this optimism that is true and actually self-fulfilling is that having confidence and trust in the unfolding of the universe, having trust that if this thing doesn't work, then another thing will. And even developing a sense of amor fati and love of our fate. And once again, trust that no matter what is going on right here in front of me right now, no matter how stormy the storm appears, that something will happen afterwards. The storms come and go. Life is up and down, and I can have faith that the good will come even out of the bad or even because of the bad. How do you think of an optimist mindset? What is a balanced and healthy and grounded in truth optimist mindset in our practical real world lives?
Thanks for sharing, man. As you said, grounded in truth is the precondition for it to be functional. As an engineer, I believe in things that work. And if you engineer these systems in a way that certain kinds of inputs produce certain kinds of outputs reliably, then it's probably functional measured on the output of the task. And you need to confront yourself with reality as it is, with the situation as dire as it is, how fragile it may be. You have to take into account that sometimes it's a delicate situation, and also you have some skills which you acquired along the way of you coming to that point, which helped you figure things out. So it's not only confronting yourself with the truth of the situation, but also with the truth of your abilities and the belief in your abilities to figure things out, to turn things around, to create value, to create stories which make people come together and generate value or create transformations in the real world so that the situation can be turned around. Look at Gandhi, just living as an example and inspiring thousands and hundreds of thousands of people to follow along, marching to the sea to collect salt, just as an act of defiance against an authority which imposed a rule which is not good for the people. But he said, okay, let's do it. And he created the example, and people follow him. So he was in a very dire situation, and he gave up material possessions, but he had a great vision and the means to live that narrative and to create that reality as well for other people. So this combination of radical acceptance for what is and a high belief in your abilities and in your ability to influence gives back agency for yourself, to have agency to change things for the better. And it's not only optimistic, it's also some kind of stoic. Because when the optimist says, okay, the glass is half full, The pessimist says, okay, the glass is half empty. The stoic says, okay, wow, it's good that I have a glass and that I can see the fluid which is inside, which is clean, so that I can drink and can refill the cup. And the high agency person says, okay, but I'm the tap. I am the thing that refills. And this is similar to our quotas mindset, having the ability to refill all the time. Peyton, what do you think about this ability to be the tap, ability to figure things out?
I think it's right on time. It's a great mindset about it, and it doesn't mean that the glass is already always full either. It doesn't mean denying the experiences of negativity that arise in our life. It doesn't mean I am in control of everything, importantly. I think that this is some of the subtle distinctions between healthy integrated optimism versus an optimism that is fragile and based off of us trying to put a delusion in front of our eyes. So a healthy optimism really doesn't come in the form of I am the master of the whole universe. Everything I do will become true exactly as I want it to because I'm the shit and I'm the best and I can control the whole future and I can figure everything out in advance and I see everything before it happens and all of this. This is fragile and it's not going to actually happen how we say every time. And when it doesn't, then if we have the wrong mindset and we have a more clingy to an identity and a certain self image, it's going to cause us to react with self delusion and self deception, which will actually make us weaker and less able to exercise agency over things. A optimism that leads to agency, a true optimism, as I would say, is saying that no, I'm not in control of the future. This particular thing in front of me might go this way or it might go this way. I believe that it can go well, but I also believe that if it doesn't go well, I can handle whatever comes. I also believe that if it doesn't go well and then I ultimately fall on my face and can't recover this project or this undertaking, that I can rebound and make the next thing for myself out of that. And that maybe the next thing will be much better. And I had to get the slate cleared by this thing not going well, or I had to get the growth and the experience from this thing not going well. This is a higher agency optimism that even if something goes poorly, that the big picture can be served by that. And therefore, I don't need to grasp onto, yes, I'm going to pour my whole energy into it. Yes, I'm going to give this my whole flow and really pour myself into what is in front of me, but with an open palm and with a sense of trust and with an admission that it's not that I can control everything. It's that I trust that I'm going to do my best and follow where I'm called, and the right thing will fall into place at the right time from there. It doesn't mean also repressing negative emotions or denying negative emotions. Being an optimist doesn't mean that we force ourselves to never feel anger or fear or anxiety or any of these negative emotions that come. If we try to resist our negative emotions, they will persist. They will get shoved down under the surface and they will erupt like a volcano when it least serves us. Actually, opening up the vent, letting these energies flow, feeling them in our body, not getting too attached to our narratives about them, but actually allowing any feelings to emerge within our bodies. These are tools of resilience. And it's actually practicing a trust that yeah, if I feel fear and it arises and I can fully feel it in my body and be there with it and allow it to be there, then I know that if I feel more fear in the future, that I also can practice that and just be with the fear. If I feel anxiety or anger in my body and I allow myself to open myself to it and I trust that I can handle feeling this way sometimes when these feelings arise, then I don't have to live my whole life around trying to control the world so that I never feel these ways. I can be much more, I can prove my anti fragility to myself directly and see that, oh, yeah, if I feel this way in the future, I know how to feel this way. It didn't kill me, and I'm willing to feel this way. Therefore, I am far more open to the universe unfolding as it actually will. I don't need to desperately live my life around a futile attempt to control the future that's not going to work and make me more fragile along the way and burn most of my fuel so that I can't put it into my highest and best use of creativity. And the high agency thing is a central element of what do we get from optimism? What is the cash value of optimism? Optimism is vulnerable. Optimism is not culturally conditioned a lot of times. Optimism is it opens ourselves in a way to the unfolding of the universe, to the risk of the certainty of looking foolish at some times. And so why be optimism? Why be optimistic? I think that its agency is the core. Can we look at the universe and decide that see a possibility of a vision of something, believe that we can pursue that vision and manifest that reality? This is agency. There's a three-legged stool, some people say, of agency, and you really need all three to be high agency. You need efficacy, which is I see something to do, I am going to do it, and the capacity to shift some element of reality in front of you, or to take some action that is in front of you that is pointed toward a shift in reality. Optimism, which is believing that if I move forward and thrust into this thing, that I actually can shift reality. And imagination or vision. These are the three elements of being a high agency individual. And without any of the three, the stool cannot ultimately stand. And so optimism not in a sense of nothing bad will ever happen, by no means. And so an optimism that is geared toward I can prevent is not really an effective optimism in my experience, but an optimism on I can create, I can manifest, I can shift reality in this direction and make something good. This is the optimism that is a necessary ingredient of being a high agency person, of being able to shift the world and shift our reality in a direction that serves us or brings us fulfillment or joy or is following our calling and accomplishing a higher mission. This is what optimism can be the foundation of. What are your thoughts about optimism, agency, and perhaps the pitfalls or distinctions between an optimism that serves us versus a faux optimism that is actually making us more fragile?
Yeah, faux optimism is not rooted in reality, and
Yeah.
optimism which is rooted in our honest assessment of our skills, honest assessment of the challenge we're facing, and honest assessment of the possibilities we have to get help or support and then bring this together. This is obviously an optimism which helps. But also some kind of delusional belief often helps in terms of, okay, why shouldn't I try this and just do it? Like, this reminds me of the third door. This is similar to his quote, but this is the third door by Alex Bantayam, where he describes in a club there are usually three kinds of entrances. The main entrance, where you have to stand in line and wait until you can get in. Then there's the VIP access if you have like relations and friends, or if you're the owner of the club. And then there's the third door where you have to climb over the fence and rob through the kitchen and like get in through the window, and then you're in the club, but you reach your goal. So it's the thing nobody thinks about using the normal route, the normal path. It's like sometimes shortcuts or hacks, don't get me wrong on this, but more on this type of, okay, how else will it be possible type of hack in terms of using things in their intended way to reach a goal type of way. And it's always important to ask yourself the unasked questions. Okay, what else didn't I think about already when I face this challenge? And take your time to think about all the possible answers which come up when you ask yourself this question. How could I solve this specific situation? Whom could help me? And what should I do in order to get to a point where I need to be to continue doing business, for example? It's important, in my opinion, to take time to think through, because thinking through these options which you haven't thought through yet is one of a very high leverage activity which can help you remove blind spots, which can help you also not to do mistakes you would have done if you wouldn't have thought through the other possibilities. So the goal is always to enhance the space of possibilities for your next best step you can take to take action to solve a problem in a way which is less dumb than before. And that's what's still I think biological intelligence is much better yet than artificial intelligence, but in combination with AI, we can think through problems in a better way. We can ask it, hey, ask me questions about this problem, questions which I haven't thought about yet, so that I can come up with my thought process. And then if I'm stuck on one part of the thought process, help me open up the space of possibilities and get the next best step which I choose, because it's my decision and it's my context that I have, it's my reality. So that's why I choose and I think. But it can help you crystallize your thinking and also crystallize your blind spots, so you're more aware of potential pitfalls which you can circumnavigate. So this kind of optimism, which is rooted in reality and also rooted in iteration, in deep thinking, in avoiding downfalls, pitfalls, and therefore taking the next best step to make some order out of chaos. What do you think are alternative ways to pursue an optimistic approach to solving a dire situation, Peyton?
I do think what you mentioned as far as when I find myself in a dire situation, one thing that is very helpful is AI at this point, in terms of at least it can tell you the various options in front of you and clarify what is the various paths that you can take as your next step at hand. And that can help illuminate of these, which does my gut tell me, rather than trying to think of all the things that I'm not thinking of. This can be helpful to distill the various alternatives and give you a multiple choice question rather than an open ended, which is helpful when you're in a dire situation. I think also in a dire situation, just having the full long-term view in mind is so helpful, that you felt this way before, and that even the last time you felt this way, you felt like you'd always feel this way, yet you didn't always feel this way, and that happened several times. Isn't that interesting? Maybe this is one of those times that you're also in that shoes, and you'll look back on and say, "Oh, yeah, that looked like it would last forever or be way bigger in the grand scheme of things than it actually was." The other thing too is just having a trust in the path. It's so commonly said that it's kind of trite at this point that all of the most successful people we can think of had many, many failures, many, many dark times, many times that things didn't go their way. And ultimately, those were a necessary part of their path. And maybe this is one of those things for us too. For those of us that are earlier on our journey, I think that this, or at least have a decent sized journey ahead, regardless of where we're at on our journey. I think this is very available to us. I'm like, hey, I'm still growing. This dark time that I'm in right now is preparing me for something that I can't yet see, but will be obvious in hindsight. This is strengthening me, and I'll be able to use this strength and growth and experience for many, many years, for many, many different types of journeys that may have higher stakes even than this one. And so I think that the mindset of trust, the mindset of giving ourselves to reality, surrendering to reality on reality's terms, and do have an optimistic belief that, yes, I might not get what I want. I might get what I don't want for now. And in the long run, getting what I don't want or not getting what I want right now might be exactly what I need to get what I ultimately want or what is ultimately meant for me or to be who I'm ultimately meant to be, to follow my greatest calling in this life, in this world. This is a bigger picture, zoomed out view that the year of 2026 might have ups and downs and might have dark times, and it might be more losses than wins. Some years are like that. Or it might be the opposite. And if it is one of those years, there's more losses than wins, it might be a necessary part of 5 more years being more wins than losses and wins that are much bigger than the losses of this year. Who knows? And if it doesn't, I can trust that too. And practicing our negative capacity of, can I feel this? Can I open myself to this? Can I trust in this? Can I be with the uncertainty? Can I be with the fear or anxiety or anger or whatever, these energies in our body? Not getting caught up forever into our stories and narratives about them. This can be sticky and not necessarily that helpful like it pretends to be, but can we open ourselves to whatever energies arise in our bodies and prove over and over to ourselves that, yeah, I have the capacity for this, and therefore I have the capacity to feel however I need to feel along the way. And I trust that however I do feel along the way is there for me. Why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me? And so these mindsets during the challenging times, during the trials, during the confusion, these are what we can come back to and give ourselves a bit of more flexibility to receive whatever reality is actually unfolding, to realign ourselves with reality rather than trying to resist it and struggle against it and always lose the disagreement.
Mhm.
Any final thoughts from you, my friend? My intention is to just trust, to see the big picture and to try to come back to the big picture optimism that I can't control the future, but yes, I can handle whatever the future has. Yes, I can receive whatever the future has. And yes, I can respond and move forward with whatever the future has. This robust optimism that is rooted in the flow. Any intentions from you?
Yeah, to increase my negative capability to take things which I don't like and transform them into energy with which I can build up stuff, and to take the optimistic view and think through what I can do to reach my goal, and then take the next best step and better to build a system which helps me to take these steps and then automatically takes the steps for itself. So this is my intention, building systems which help and support.
Beautiful. Excellent, my friend. Really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate what you shared.
Likewise, man. See you soon. Appreciate you as
See you
always, man.
soon.
Bye.
Likewise. Have a good week.